Amen. Amen. All right, guys. The title of today's sermon is Heaven is Relational. Everyone say Heaven is Relational. Okay. Uh, so this is not me I can get kind of insecure sometimes, but this is not me trying to feel a sense of validation or importance or anything. Okay, this is just I want us to have like a real example to help us just get into the word today. Okay, so who? Okay, again, if no one raises their hands, it's fine. We'll just use someone else as an example. Okay, but who really likes me? Yeah. Okay. Whoa. Hold on. Okay, okay, we'll just have a few people. Okay. All right. If you really like me and you're sitting in the first two rows, please stand up. Please stand up. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. It's okay. Shh, do it. It's okay. Okay, that's cool. All right. We're gonna work on that. It's like, you don't have to feel bad, brother. you can say it's okay. It's okay. I just needed a few people. Okay. All right. So I'm inviting you guys, all right, after church today, you're all invited to my house. Okay, we're going to have some food, we'll play some games, we're going to hang out. All right, who's coming? All right, you guys coming? Oh, okay, you can't come. But you would want to though, right? Okay, yeah, you would come. All right, so most of you will come, yes? All right, but what if I said that I know this other person, you don't know him, complete stranger, right? But he owns the biggest house in Maryland. And he also invites you guys to come hang out. All right? So which ones of you would choose him over me? I don't know. I can't promise you if there'll be food or not. I don't know what they're going to do. All I know is they got the biggest house in Maryland. Anybody going? No? Okay, why aren't you going? Because there's no food? Okay, Chan, what did you say? We don't know him. Okay, good. Sit down. Thank you. Okay. All right. That's the point I was trying to make. All right. Thank you, Chan. All right. Here's the truth for us today. Heaven is not locational nearly as it is relational. Okay? Heaven is relational, not just locational. All right? It is not just a mere location, but it is absolutely a relationship. One more time. Everyone say, heaven is a relationship. As Christians, we should not care so much about where heaven is, what is it going to look like, what's my room going to look like in heaven, are there going to be unicorns, are there going to be rides, what kind of food is there going to be, right? We shouldn't care so much about the locational aspect, the physical aspect of heaven, because it is mostly, okay, it is completely about the relationship. Right? And so as a Christian, guys, my goal needs to be to reach a point where heaven becomes completely about the relationship and not so much the location, right? And I'm not blaming you guys. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. This is just kind of how we grow up. For those of us that grew up in the church, we went to CM, and again, okay, I'm not, putting any shade on RCM or anything like that. I'm just talking about CM in general, okay, in all churches. But we grow up saying those kinds of things, right? Like, Mom, Dad, where is heaven? How do I get there? What's going to be there? What kind of cool things can I expect to be there? We sort of just focus on those things, but nobody really stops us to say, hey, Yehi, it's not about unicorns. It's not about the food. It's the relationship. Nobody really stops us to correct us. Right? Yeah? Facts? Facts. Okay. Facts. All right. If you love someone enough, it won't matter if they live in a cardboard box. Right? If you love someone enough, it won't matter if they live in a cardboard box. You will sit there and hang out with them. Some of you love your friends so much that you will literally play in a cardboard box. It doesn't matter. Right? you'll want to hang out with them. It'll be more about them than the house. It don't matter if you got the biggest house in Potomac, Maryland. It's about the person. It's about the relationship, right? And so this is how Christianity works, guys. Okay, and I want us to, as we read the passage for us today, check the language. Check the language that Jesus is using and see if it's true. Is heaven really more relational than it is locational? All right, John 14. We're in John 14 today. Oh, projector not working? Okay, if you have your Bibles, please open it up to John 14. If you don't, you're going to have to use your listening skills today. Okay? John 14. This is why we should bring our Bibles, just in case technology fails us. John 14. We're going old school today. All right. John 14. John is the fourth book in the New Testament. John 14. I'll give you 30 more seconds. Okay. Do we have it? Are we good? It's frozen. Okay, it's okay. No problem. No worries. All right. John 14, verse 1. If you don't have it in front of you, please listen well. Here we go. Don't let your heart be troubled. Anybody ever worry about where you're going in the afterlife after you die? Am I going to heaven? Am I going to hell? Yeah, you might worry about that. Probably should. But Jesus says, don't let your heart be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. So if you don't want your hearts to be troubled about where you're going, believe in God. Believe also in Jesus. In my Father's house are many rooms. So some of you might be already going into the locational direction, right? We're thinking about the physical building and what it's going to look like. If it were not so, would I have told you that I'm going to prepare a place for you? And we all know Jesus was a carpenter or a stonemason, so he's probably good at building a house, right? And so he's saying that I'm going to prepare a place for you. If I go away and prepare a place for you, I will come again to take you to myself, so that where I am, you may be also. You know the way to where I am going. Let's pause there. So who's he talking to right now? The disciples. Okay? And how do the disciples know the way? Jesus says, you know the way. You know where I'm going. But they don't know what he's talking about or where he's going. But even if they realized that he was talking about heaven, how would they know the way? How would the disciples know the way? He's saying that they know the way because they have met him. Right? He's saying, you know the way because you've met me. Right? I am the way. You know the way because you have spent time with me. You have known me. And so the location, the direction is a what? It's a map. It's a list of directions. What is it? Yeah. It's a person. It's a person. Okay? Guys, I don't expect you to know this, but what kind of language do you think Jesus is using here when he says stuff like this? When he says, I'm going to prepare a house for you, place for you in my Father's house, and if I go to prepare a place for you, then that means I'm going to come back to take you to be with myself. What kind of language do you think this is? English? Okay, not like the language, that kind of language, but like the type of language. Like, is it like fight talk, or is it huh? It's absolutely relational. Okay, it is a love language, right? Jesus is using words here that perfectly describe the Jewish tradition of marriage. marriage. I think I've explained this to you guys before. Some of you that are new to youth group, you haven't heard this. But this is how it would go, okay? Let's say, and I'm going to spare you guys today. I'm not going to use any of you as an example, okay? But you know I want to, but I'm not going to do it, okay? So let's say that there is a guy that wants to marry a girl. Okay, the guy would go to the girl's house, and he would sit in front of the father of that girl and then the girl, right? And there would be this like massive feast laid out on the table. They would share this meal together, right? And then this is very weird for us, but they would negotiate like the bridal price, right? So maybe to marry his daughter, you would have to give up 5 donkeys and 2 chickens, and right? I know it's kind of weird for us, right? But that type of stuff still happens, right? It kind of happened for me too. In like Korean culture, it's like the men's side, they're expected to cover certain things. The woman's side, they're expected to cover. Anyway, that type of thing, right? And then there would be a glass of wine for each person on the table, right? And then once they agree on it, they would drink from the cup. And then the woman, which if she agreed to it, she would drink from the cup as well, right? So I think there are connections to like communion, right? Like drinking wine, right? I think there's connections to communion as well there. But so that would happen. And then the guy would say, okay, I'm going to go to prepare a place for us in my father's home. Okay. And this tradition went way back because even when the Jewish people, they were living in tents and stuff, when people would get married, they would just build another like attachment to the tent of their father, right? So they would just, I don't know if you guys have seen them before, but you know those tents where you can buy like another tent and then you can just like kind of zip them in to like the bigger tent, right? So you just keep building the tent bigger and bigger, right? But that's essentially what they would do. They would go to their father's house and then build an extension to the father's house for them as a new couple to live in and start their family in. And then, here's the thing, the girl wouldn't know when he's coming back, right? When he's going to finish the job. We wouldn't know the day or the hour, right? That should be familiar language as well. Jesus says, no one knows the day or the hour when I'm going to return, right? Except for the Father. All right, and then, so he would go, and then he would finish the extension, and by the time he finishes, it's usually like nighttime, right? And then, so in the middle of night, Jesus said, I'm going to come back like a what? A thief in the night. He would come in the night, and he would send his the friends first would go and say, the bridegroom is coming, right? And this is very prophetic of how things are going to happen in the end times as well, in like Revelation. The trumpets will sound and all that, right? And so once they hear that, the girls' neighborhood, they will get ready. They'll like line the streets. They'll start playing instruments. They'll start cheering, right? And then the husband will come riding on a horse, whatever he has, right? And then he'll come and take his wife to go to the father's house, to the extension that he built for them to consummate the marriage, make it official, right? And so I believe Jesus is using that very language, that I'm going to prepare a place for us. And if I am, that means I'm coming to get you. And there are other places where Jesus uses this similar marriage language, okay? And so if he's using marriage language, then what can we deduce from that? What can we get from that? Then that this is absolutely relational. This is all about the relationship. Jesus cares about the relationship. Okay, I think this is more relational than it can possibly get. All right, verse 5. Lord, Thomas said, we don't know where you're going. How can we know the way? Jesus told him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you know me, you will also know my Father. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. All right. If you're like wondering, hey, what's one verse that I should memorize? Okay, John 3:16. Absolutely. That is the gospel, right? If there's another verse that you should memorize, absolutely, right? We are saved by grace through faith. That is so foundational. We need to know that, right? But a verse that is easily in the top 3 that you should memorize. It's John 14:6. When Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Why? Why is it so important for us to know this passage? So that people can go to heaven, right? Yeah. Huh? The truth, the absolute truth, right? This is the problem with today. This whole we call it like new age theology, that all roads lead to heaven, right? Like, yeah, they might be different names and stuff, but it's the same God. We're talking about the same God. There's multiple ways to get to heaven. So you can't really hate on other people for their different religions and their different beliefs, right? But that is directly oppositional to what Jesus says, right? And if anything, this is what people need to know to be saved, to go to heaven. This is what makes us Christian. This is what sets us apart. So I'll read it one more time. John 14:6. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And again, I want us to see, is he using relational language or locational language? No one comes to the Father except through me. If you know me, you will also know my Father. If heaven was locational, Jesus would have just given us more directions. Elena, you want to go to Rita's? No, okay, just pretend you want to go to Rita's, okay? And then, do you know how to get to Rita's? Oh, you do? Oh, okay. Darn it. I thought you wouldn't know where Rita's is. Okay, just pretend you don't know where Rita's is. And I got to give you directions, right? You got to go out the front of our church, the front entrance, and then you want to go to the left. And that first street you see right there, you want to take a left, and then you want to take the immediate right, and then you'll go down for like a minute, and then you'll see Rita's on your right. If heaven was locational, Jesus would have just added more directions, or he would have focused on, he would have reinforced the 613 laws that we already had in the Old Testament. He would have spent his time reinforcing those rules and those laws. Right? Jesus would have said, I'm telling you, you need to do this, this, and that. But he basically spent his time letting us know that we're not getting the point. You're missing the point. Yeah, you know the laws, right? There are people that encounter Jesus, wanted to know how to follow Jesus and stuff, and Jesus pointed to those 10 commandments they all know and stuff, and they're like, yeah, see, I know the laws. And he's like, no, you're not getting it. You're missing the point. Heaven is not just a location that we follow directions to get to. These are not just 613 steps in the directions to get to heaven. Heaven is a relationship. These laws exist for you to see the importance of loving God and loving your neighbor. Why is the emphasis on love? Because it's about the relationship. Jesus spent his time talking about what real love looks like, because love is the key to a relationship. What makes your deepest relationship so deep? Love. Love. Right? He told the Pharisees, stop making it about something else. He called them whitewashed tombs. You look nice on the outside, but you're just rotten on the inside. You're a rotting corpse on the inside. He told the miracle chasers to stop making it about something else. What did he call the miracle chasers? The crowds that kept following him to see the miracles and stuff. What did they call them? What did he call them? You wicked and perverse generation. Who are the people that Jesus approved of? It was Mary, who was so in love with Jesus that she sat at his feet, lost in his words, just listening to every word that came out of his mouth. She couldn't even think about the food. Right? And it's a different time. It's not like our time now, but this is a time where this is ingrained in them, right? As women, as young women, that was their duty. That was the expectation. That was the norm. If you weren't doing that, you're a horrible person, right? They're supposed to be, if there's a visitor in the house, they're supposed to be in the kitchen preparing the food. And that's why Martha was like, Jesus, rebuke her, right? She's not doing her job. She's not doing what she's supposed to be doing. But Jesus said, shh, let her be. Right? She's doing the right thing right now. The multiple Marys who broke all societal norms. They're not even supposed to come into the room when there's a group of men sitting. Right? The Marys that just came into the room and they're, God forbid, would touch them or wash their feet with their hair. Like that, I mean, that's just borderline like adultery. Like that's so promiscuous. It's so wild. But like we talked about last time, they broke up in these alabaster jars, these fragrances that were worth like an entire year's wage. These are the ones that Jesus was pleased by. John, who was Jesus' most beloved, he was the one where at the Last Supper, what was John doing? Anybody know? Leaning on the chest of Jesus. Oh, that's kind of weird, man. Why are you doing that? It's that childlike faith. There's no manly arrogance or pride there. It's just love, pure love. The ones who so innocently believed who Jesus really was, they pleased Jesus. Have you guys ever been in a situation where people were wrongly accusing you about something? Like something bad happened, and for whatever reason, your name got stuck in there. They're like, yo, Titus did it. Right? I don't know. Let's say, let's just say some like crazy people were like burning stuff in the church last night. Right? And they left like a huge like burn mark or something. And then Titus's name just got like stuck in there somehow. And then that just became like the rumor spread and everything, and like that was just like the common knowledge. All right, Titus did it. Titus almost burned the church down. Right? You guys ever have that happen? Where like it's not you. You didn't do it. You had nothing to do with it. But for whatever reason, that's the word that got out, and that's what everyone believed, and nobody would believe that it wasn't you. What feels the best in that situation? When everyone was chastising Jesus for simply saying who he was, what was Jesus' crime? What was his crime? His crime was saying who he is. Hello, my name is Jesus. I'm the Son of God, and I have come from heaven down to earth to save y'all from sin. He's just simply stating who he is. But people chastised him. They ridiculed him. They said he was demon possessed. They convicted him of blasphemy. They hung him on the cross. Right? But there were people who loved him enough. They loved him genuinely enough to believe him no matter what everyone else was saying. And so to go back to that example, when you were in that situation where nobody would believe you, who were the ones that would believe you? Who will believe you? The one that loves you. The one that loves you most. You know, my son, he got in trouble recently. Principal called and all that. Even like one of the other dads from the school, they called me just to like make sure that this didn't happen and stuff. Basically, he's being like painted as like a bully, and he's like beating up other kids and stuff, right? And so I want to make sure that's not happening, right? And so I sat my son down and I asked him, like, hey, this is happening. And I did the whole thing. I was like, if you tell me now, you're not going to get in trouble. But if I confirm with your teacher later and I find out you have been doing that, then you're gonna be in some real trouble. Like I'm gonna trash your Nintendo Switch, right? And that always works. It always works. So he always confesses to what he did, right? He's like, no. And he's like about to tear up. He's like, Appa, I didn't do it. Right? He's like, don't you believe me? I was like, yes, of course, I believe you. But you better not be lying, right? It's those that love us that are inclined to believe. And it's those that loved Jesus, that genuinely loved him, that were inclined to believe, that believed Jesus when he was simply saying who he was. And those are the ones that please Jesus, no matter what everyone else was saying. Okay? And so that's my question for us today, guys. Do we truly love Jesus? Do you truly love Jesus? So I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Heaven is relational. There is no getting into heaven without loving Jesus. Genuinely loving Jesus. Do we truly love Jesus? Do we really believe what he has to say about himself? Or are we more inclined to believe what the world has to say about him? Or what we have to say about him? Right? Because if I'm more inclined to believe what I think about him or what the world thinks about him, then I don't love Jesus. But when I look at the words of Christ and I say, all right, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter if I agree or don't agree. It doesn't matter if all my friends disagree. It doesn't matter if the world tells me something else. It doesn't matter if the world's going to make fun of me. I'm going to believe what Jesus has to say. That's real love. And not just with words, guys, because we all know talk is cheap. Talk is very cheap. If you haven't learned that lesson yet, you'll eventually learn it. Right? Talk is very cheap. Doesn't matter how much you say you're my BFF, my best friend forever. Because if you backstab me the first chance you get, you talk behind my back, right? I tell you my deepest, darkest secrets, right? You guys remember the story I shared about my best friend in 5th grade, right? We had the sleepover, and he asked me to rate all the other Korean girls in our class. And then the next morning at the bus stop, he told all of them everything I said. And then from the first day of 6th grade to the last day of high school, I was never allowed to sit with the Koreans at lunchtime. Like I was completely outcasted, right? If you're gonna do that, then it doesn't matter how much you say, oh, you're my best friend. Ride till we die. I got your back. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. And it's no different in our relationship with Christ. It is our actions that define what we truly believe. Guys, can we say that together? It is our actions that define what we truly believe. But quick disclaimer, it also can't be forced actions or faked actions. Right? When the first Mary, okay, the first Mary to break open that expensive belonging, right, that expensive perfume, because she genuinely believed that Jesus was better and Jesus was absolutely worth this sacrifice and this act of worship. There could have been other people that were like, oh, I see how much that pleased Jesus, but I don't want to give that up. Like, hey, Amir, you work with the perfumes and clones, right? Imagine a $65,000 bottle of perfume, right? It's like, hey, what's like one of the most expensive perfumes or clones right now? Tom Ford. How much is a normal bottle of that? 600. Dang. $600. I didn't even know they went up that high. $600. And you saw that the first Mary do that act of worship, and it pleased Jesus. And Jesus is like, man, wherever the gospel goes, this is going to be talked about. Like this, you're leaving a legacy. There would have been people that are like, okay, I see it pleased Jesus, but I really don't want to give this up. Like, this is so precious to me. Like, do you know who gave this to me? Like, you know what I've been saving this for? And there are going to be people that are like, all right, I guess I got to do it. You go, like, all right, Jesus, here's my alabaster jar. Yeah. There's going to be people that force their way through it, that just going to fake their way through it. But why is it not worth doing that? Because then you won't reap the benefits, the fruit of that love relationship. That love relationship, right? It's the ones that genuinely love him and genuinely make that sacrifice that get to engage in that mutual love relationship with Christ. But it's those that have other reasons, the wrong motivations, where it becomes tainted and corrupted by other things. It's like, man, geez, I better get something back for this, right? Like, I better receive 10 times what I'm giving. And so, guys, we need to stay committed to keeping a space where we develop our love for Christ so that we naturally do these acts of extravagant worship. And so let me ask you, are you praying? Are you praying? Right? We don't necessarily have to give up like perfume bottles and stuff, right? But our perfume bottle is our worship. It's our spending time with God. It's giving ourselves to that love relationship. So are we praying? Are we keeping that secret space where it's just me and God? Jesus literally said, don't even pray in public. Because when you pray in public like the Pharisees do, you'll make it about something else. You'll make it about getting attention from other people. You'll make it about clout, right? Getting something out of it. But Jesus said, pray in private. Why? Because he cares about the relationship. The relationship is heaven. Let's say that together. The relationship is heaven. And so, guys, I hope that we can all stop asking those kind of childish questions that we've asked growing up. And then we would experience heaven for what it truly is. And that is our relationship with God. Let us pray.